The NBA can be a cruel place for many, especially if you find yourself on the wrong side of isolation. That can happen to anybody, and by anybody I mean even to the best players of all time. When Allen Iverson got into the league, he turned a lot of heads with his ball handling skills.
Very quick move, he goes to left is right, and then he comes up with a...
When the time came to face his idol, Michael Jordan, Al was up for the challenge. Jordan was a 9-time All-Defense team member, but Iverson got him on this one. Probably the most epic moment in Iverson's career came a couple years later, when he took the Sixers to the NBA Finals. The Lakers had Tyronn Lue on the roster, and they were crazy enough to say that he could stop Al. Iverson took that one personally, and not just that, he dropped Lue on the floor. He stepped over him. If you thought that was nasty, then you gotta see what Al did to Antonio Daniels. Iverson dropped him twice on the same play. Really?
Oh, he makes Antonio Daniels.
I mean, the best players in the game can humiliate opponents, no matter how good defenders these dudes are. We all know how good of a scorer Steph Curry is, but we often forget what he can actually do with the ball.
Brooks off of him. Oh, he crossed him over. Let Brooks fly by.
Dillon Brooks made a name for himself as a villain who wants to go against the best players in the game. But something tells me that he'll stay away from Curry in the future. Curry has been cooking like that since he got into the league, and one of the first players to taste his recipe was Gary Neal. He has some special discount offers for big men in the league. Julius Randle took a good bite on that one, and Marc Gasol was served with some special spicy flavor on that one.
He didn't make it. Oh, Steph. Now you see him.
Wondering what else is on the chef's menu? He has some special offers for group rides. I mean, Curry is just too good of a ball handler, even for the best guards in the league. Just look at what he did to Chris Paul in this play. It seems like Paul learned the lesson and he pulled out the same move on Evan Fournier.
That this Clipper team has had the last couple seasons in the playoffs. You mentioned it earlier, oh my goodness.
Yeah, CP3 could do some damage to people, and he had no mercy, even for his former teammate David West. West took the east exit after that move, and DJ Wilson also left the floor after this dribble.
Two pick and roll, Harden and Paul. Oh, Chris Paul!
Yeah, that is straight up nasty, but many people think that doing that to big guys is much easier. Let me do that to a point guard. Say no more, CP3 was all about his ball handling, and not even Tony Parker could do anything about that.
They shoot 49% from three. Paul! Barry!
Sure, point guards can fall out of their shoes as well. Even Paul got the taste of his own medicine in this play. What these guys do with the ball is insane, and whoever's not ready for that may end up on his back.
Games. George on the pull-up, nails it.
That was nasty as hell, but look at how Trae Young put Shane Milton on roller skates in this play. This dude just slid out of the arena. Lance Stevenson was known as one of the bad boys of the NBA, but sometimes he could leave even his teammates in disbelief.
Mitchell, then when he gives Brandon Mitchell some love.
Wizards got a...
No!
He may have stepped on Green's foot on that one, but what is Courtney Lee's excuse for this behavior?
Lance just made one of his...
Damian Lillard was doing that on a regular basis. Dame dropped John Henson to his knees on this play and offered a sit to Draymond Green on the next one.
He has 10 points.
Damian sets up two men.
If there's one guy who learned how to do that from Dame Dalla, it is his former Blazers teammate, CJ McCollum. This dude was known for his three-point shots, but he also knows how to dribble the ball. CJ made Victor Oladipo collapse on that dribble before making a three, and Dante DiVincenzo ended up even worse.
To challenge the shot.
And stayed off that rim. He was tempted.
Hey.
These dudes deserve that since they were down on defense trying to stop McCollum, but what did Dirk Nowitzki do to be played like this? James Harden is just another player who could not care less about people's ankles.
Angle. Oh no, that's not good.
He got Wesley Johnson so bad on this play that this dude ended up playing in Europe. Defending Harden one-on-one was so challenging back in the day when he was with the Rockets. Jamal Murray knew that the Bear could shoot it from all over the court and tried to prevent him from doing so. That's what every coach wants from his players, a defensive mentality. But still, sometimes you just need to try to stay on your feet. Kent Bazemore had that on his mind and managed to stay on his feet, but unfortunately he lost where Harden was during that process. If you thought that was nasty, you are terribly wrong. Kevin Durant left people dead with his wild crossover.
The fake, the second, ankle breaker!
Yes, everything we saw so far was straight up nasty, but let's go back in time, shall we? Have you ever wondered who was the first player to start crossing people over? To answer that question, we'll have to go back to the early 1990s. The Warriors were not as popular of a team as they are today, but when Tim Hardaway joined the team, people started paying attention to the Dubs. Unlike his son, who's just shooting threes on the Mavericks today, Tim Hardaway was doing nasty things with the ball. Just look at the explosiveness of this move by Isaiah Thomas. He was so good at what he did that he got his signature move called Killer Crossover. Yes, everything started with this guy, and he passed the torch to Allen Iverson, who reinvented the crossover move. When Al was in the league, there was another player who could have stolen the show with his nasty handles. He may not have ended up well, but when Steve Francis was with the Houston Rockets, he was one of the hottest players in the league. If you're wondering why, here's Francis doing one of the nastiest crossovers in NBA history.
Round and round like a top. Steve Francis putting on a show.
Speaking about the best ball handlers of that era, there's one guy that has to be mentioned. You probably guessed we're talking about the White Chocolate by Jason Williams. When he showed up in the league, he seemed like this next-door nice guy, but look at what he did to one of the best defenders at the time, Gary Payton. Another player who put his creativity into the crossover move was Jamal Crawford. He was a bit taller than these guys and more of a scorer than a point guard, but he was spectacular. This dude was so nasty that he just made the defenders quit. I mean, quitting is not something that got these players into the league, but when it comes to guarding Crawford, that may not sound like a good idea. Too bad Rudy Gay was not aware of that. What made Crawford stand out among the others was that he knew how to put his own touch on the crossover move. Wondering what we're talking about? Just ask Andre Miller, or maybe Kirk Hinrich knows better. Another great scorer who could kill you on the crossover was Joe Johnson. This dude was called ISO Joe, and that was a scary matchup for any defender like Leon Powell on this play. What made this guy so good was that he wasn't even trying to make his crossover look flashy. He was just dropping people around. Yusuf Nurkic tried to stay on his feet on this play, but the ground was shaking, I guess.
In a mismatch with Nurkic. Fakes it. Oh! Ankle break!
Paul Pierce was another guy who wanted to have the ball in isolation. And if you thought that we would show you the truth doing some crossover, you are terribly wrong on that one. I mean, Pierce was a competitor and didn't back down against anybody. And what Johnson did to him on this play is one of the most embarrassing moments ever. I'm still wondering how these two could play together when Pierce left Boston to join the Nets. The Celtics took some time before they reinvented themselves after the Pierce era, and there are two guys drafted by the Celtics who took over the team. Jason Tatum is one of the best scorers of today. He can do everything on the court, and that includes dropping people on the court in crunch time.
Tatum for the tie.
Jaylen Brown is maybe the second violin on this Celtics team, but he makes sure he keeps it up with Tatum. Another guard who's regular on the highlight reels with his nasty crossovers is Donovan Mitchell. Spido was more of a point guard when he was with the Utah Jazz, but he turned into a real beast after joining the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, he was dropping people wherever he played.
Wesley ups it back. Whoa!
Jeremy Sochan ended up on his backside on this play, and Nerlens Noel was put on skates. The last one is proof why switching on defense can be painful for the big guys. They just end up on territory where they do not feel confident. And mercy from guys like Trae Young is something you cannot expect.
Here's Young, sizes up Gibson, around him, shoots.
LaMelo Ball is another young and flashy point guard who is tough to catch, even for one of the best defenders in that position, Drew Holiday. And as we get close to the end of this video, let's close it out with a pair of nasty crossovers by some of the best in the business.
Oh, LaMelo crosses over Holiday. Kelly Oubre.
Got it. There it is.
Derrick Rose is still in the league, and we can only imagine what he could have been doing if he hadn't gotten so injured in the past. If you are wondering the same, let's just reminisce on this crossover.
Help, I'm falling, and I can't get up.
John Wall's career saw an even bigger downfall because of the injuries, and when this dude was in his prime, he was one of the fastest players in the league. We hope you enjoyed our video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. See you in the next one.